Remember those endless summer days that felt like they just last forever? Sun rays kiss your skin, grass tickles your toes as you bite into the creamy popsicle melting in your hand. Pure, unbothered bliss. Capture more sun-drenched memories with the Orange Vanilla Dream Hydration Multiplier from Liquid IV. This nostalgic vanilla flavor with notes of candied orange can help keep you hydrated while savoring your favorite golden hour moments. No matter how hot your summer gets, just one stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates you better than water alone. It's 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, with 8 vitamins and nutrients for refreshing on-the-go hydration. Live your summer dream with Liquid IV. Tear, pour, live more. Go to liquidiv.com and get 20% off your first order with code INDULGE20 at checkout. That's code INDULGE20 at liquidiv.com.
This is Fantasy Avenue, hosted by Mikey Andersen, your road to fantasy football victory. Welcome back to Fantasy Avenue, Season 3, week 4 review is what we got going. Exciting times. Yeah, man. So we're back after missing the first week, or after missing last week of the season. I'm honestly, I'm filming this, 2:41 on a Saturday, October 5th. I got a birthday's tomorrow, and I got a birthday dinner tonight with my family at 4. I've had football and stuff. I mean, I'm surprised I'm even getting this episode out, okay? But I want to say I'm really going to try to have a more normal schedule in the future. And we got a few dudes lined up to join the podcast. Finn next week, and Coach Flynn. That's interesting. A little Flynn. Coach Flynn. Whenever the football season is more calmed down, that's part of it. Is football has just been such a grind. Like last week with Crosstown, and then this week, but it's been going good, and our team is rolling. So we're feeling good. It was a big week in the NFL. I got to start out with the Broncos every week. Just talk about the Broncos a little bit, because who says you got to throw the ball to win a game? Not me. I don't say that. Bo Nix, 60 yards passing in the game against the Jets last week, and we came out with a 1-point victory. Now that does not happen. He had -7 yards. I remember sending a video of somebody -7 yards at halftime. I was like, is this even real? And then I think the funniest part is that Cortland Sutton ended up with 60 yards receiving. And he wasn't the only one that the bonus completed passes to, but adding in the negative passing plays plus the positive ones, no one, the yardage works out to where it's 60 for 60. It's just weird to me. It's just weird how it works. I don't really get it necessarily, because he completed 12 passes and only 3 to Cortland Sutton. So his next 9 passes just went for 0 yards. I don't really know. But anyway, a fun week to be a Bronco fan. 2-2. We actually feel kind of good. Oh, my shoulder. Dude, I just tried to lift my arm up to take a drink of water and my shoulder cramped. That was weird. We got a week. Let's talk about it. We talked about the Broncos. Let's talk about everybody else. Let's see what we got going. Now, one thing I got to say before we talk about anybody is the injuries are crazy. And that's the first thing that you want to capitalize on right now if you're in a deep league, is find your injury guys. There's going to be a lot of available dudes that are going to come into a bigger role right now. And obviously the ones you immediately think of are guys like Christian McCaffrey being out, which opens the 49ers backfield. And I believe 49ers running back right now, Jordan Mason, is the number 3 running back in fantasy, which is just crazy. But it's dudes like that. So you want to look at guys if you're in deep leagues, now this is not for everybody, but if you're in leagues that actually need some people, guys like Cam Akers for filling in for Joe Mixon, guys like Jordan Whittington, I think is how you pronounce his name, Rams receiver. It's those type of dudes, okay? So that's obviously something to look for right now, because those are not going to be the dudes I talk about as being the number 1 scorers, and they'll probably not even be the top guys to add, but it's just dudes that you might want to have in your roster. And the second thing I want to talk about is my trades of the last week. And now I've been kind of wheeling and dealing a little bit, and whether they work out or not for me, I don't know. I hope they're going to work. I'm not sure if they're going to or not. But you guys tell me. In a league, traded for DJ Moore, traded away Alan Lazard. I loved this trade. Alan Lazard is not a terrible option, but he's in a really inconsistent offense, and he's honestly carried by his first week in terms of stats, where DJ Moore has gone up in points every single week of this season, 10, 11, 11, 15. So he's only improving, and I just like that to have a more consistent. It's not even a starting. Neither of them are going to be a starting receiver for me. But if you're going to have a bench receiver, you might as well have a consistent dude. Okay? And then the second guy, I was talking about Christian McCaffrey earlier, which perfectly segues into this. Traded Morgan. I received Christian McCaffrey and gave him Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard is balling out. Honestly, he has 2 games in a row over 20 points. He is playing good, and all of a sudden the Panthers' offense has finally figured out how to play. Now, I didn't really need him, and I didn't really trust him to be a full season thing. Christian McCaffrey, I think a lot of people are going to say, wow, you are stupid. You are dumb. No. My running backs in this league are freaking legit, and if you can, that's really what it is. How you win the league is by preparing yourself best for the playoffs. And so I looked at my strength on this team. My strength is running backs. I do not need running backs, right? I was never going to play Chuba Hubbard because my running backs are Derrick Henry, James Cook, and Brian Robinson, and they are all more consistent and score points. Brian Robinson is the only guy you could maybe not, but I'd honestly start Brian Robinson, at the flex or other dudes. I also have Joe Mixon on my bench, right? I have guys like Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore that could fill in that flex spot. So I was like, Chuba Hubbard is my least likely player to play. I might as well see if I can get something that in the playoffs could help me. If Christian McCaffrey, even if he stays out for 2 months, even if he comes in at week 13 of the season, he will help me win a chip, and that is what matters. I don't even know what to think about my own trade. I'm going to be totally honest. I'm kind of on the fence as to whether or not I made a good move, but I think I did. I hope I did, and more than anything, I want to hope that I made the good move. There will definitely be a section of a fantasy episode later in the season where I'm talking about the decision I made and whether it panned out for me. Hopefully it ends, my sentence ends with and that's why I won the championship, and it doesn't end with I folded because I didn't have a running back and Christian McCaffrey didn't play a single snap. I'm not gonna go there right now. I believe that I made the good choice. And that's kind of my intro. So let's get into it. Let's get into the top guys. Let's get into some scores that I think you should trade for or pick up. Christian McCaffrey. I don't want to toot the horn there. I'm not sure, but maybe. Let's get into it. Let's just start with quarterbacks. This is crazy, bro. I saw this. I was like, there's no way. Your top scoring quarterback from last week was Justin Fields with 32 points, followed by Baker, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, and Jaden Daniels. I don't even understand what's going on. Where is Josh Allen? Josh Allen had a pretty dud week. Yeah, he scored 7.3 points. That's why I lost. That's why I lost last week, because I had him, and then I had Dak on my bench. He did 16. It was a pretty lackluster week for the quarterbacks. If you look at the top, Justin Fields, there's a dude to pick up. The only reason I was kind of feeding him on drafts was because I didn't know if he would really play this year. There is not very many starting quarterbacks who have the ability to score 32 points who you could find on waiver wires. So if he's not picked up in your league, I would say why not just take a chance, shoot a flyer at him, and hope it works. Because honestly, this has been a weird year. I guarantee. Think about this right now. Patrick Mahomes. Think about what quarterback do you think he's projected? I guarantee that this is not what anyone was saying. Even people who were saying he was going to have a bad year this year. No one thought he was going to be the 16th ranked cornerback going into week 5. That's crazy. That's more than just a slow start. He is playing average, average at best. Baker Mayfield's the best quarterback in the NFL in terms of fantasy points. That's nuts, dude. And I thought about drafting him too. Man, I should have. That's crazy. The quarterbacks, it's same with the tight ends. That's kind of how I group them in my head anyway, so I find that interesting. Quarterbacks and tight ends, the top guys are struggling. There's some weird ones, right? And then receivers, running backs are laying down points every week. And it's just kind of interesting to me that's how the year is going. lines up with, honestly, how I group positions in my head. But that's kind of your running back stuff. Or, I mean, your quarterback stuff. Let's move on to running back stuff. Derrick Henry. Baby. Now, this was crazy. I scored like 85 points last week in one of my leagues. I scored like 160 in the other one. So, before you start talking crap, know that I'm still a baller. But Derrick Henry had 35 of my like 85. He almost had half of my team's points. I think my other leading scorer was like, who was the kicker? I think I had, who did I have? I had like, I had Greg Joseph, the Giants kicker, because I knew their offense was going to struggle against Dallas, and he scored 19. So my two best players were Derrick Henry and my kicker, and they had over like 3/4 of my points. That was crazy. Anyway, Derrick Henry, for all the freaking people who hated on me picking this guy, Derrick Henry can still run the rock. He's impossible to know what they're going to do in that offense. He's only on the field for 60% of the snaps, which is crazy. And that shows how versatile the Ravens offense is. That shows why they're good. Because no longer does he have to be, and it's good because he can't. He's too old, honestly. But he no longer does he have to be the dude who gets the rock 3 out of the 4 plays of the game, you know? He can be on the field like every once in a while, get the ball when he's on the field, but defenses never know what's happening on the Ravens offense because they have so many different weapons and honestly just like game plans. So it turns into like a perfect scenario, and I knew what was going to happen. I knew it. I knew that the Ravens offense would be deadly. People doubted me. You know, it's an unfortunate reality of being a fantasy football podcaster. Is every time I get something wrong, I get slammed, or every time I make a weird choice, they're like, "Oh, this guy knows nothing." Every time I win, people discredit. They're just like, "Oh, it's whatever. It's because he has a podcast." Bro, the podcast does not add to my knowledge. I do a podcast because I have knowledge. Okay, if I didn't have a podcast, I'd still be smacking you around with my knowledge. I just want to lay that out there for all the people who are like, no. You didn't lose because I'm good. You lost because you're bad. All right? But that's the running backs. Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift finally put up some points. I saw so many like memes on Instagram about like the one time I didn't start DeAndre Swift. Whatever. He's had a pretty poor year. I would have benched him by now too. So I can't even say anything to those dudes. Like that's just what happens. I really want to talk about the running back duds because there's some like very noticeable guys that in my eyes were set to have like, or that in my eyes I kind of like had a feeling, right? Once again, there's really two dudes I want to talk about. Zamir White, very unfortunate that Zamir White only put up 3 points. He's had a really bad year, and he was a dude. You know, I'm gonna right. If I get a knockout punch, I'm gonna throw my hands in the air and celebrate. And if I get knocked out, I'm gonna take it on the chin. Zamir White was a dude I was super high on coming into the year, and he's the 54th ranked running back. There's only 32 teams, so think about how many RB2s are higher than him when he's supposedly the RB1 on his team. That's a little disappointing, but it's fine. Whatever. I'm not mad. Breece Hall is the other guy, and Breece Hall is a dude I do want to talk about because he's been having a couple really good weeks and then fell versus the Broncos defense. And I'm not gonna lie, bro. The Broncos defense is deadly. Like, I talked about Bo Nix a lot in the intro. Our defense can freaking ball, okay? I'll get to the defenses later because there's two dudes I really do think that everyone should be picking up right now. It's two defenses that in my eyes are going to be the two best defenses in the league for, like, the next couple weeks in a row. But we'll get to them. We'll get to them in a few. We don't have to do that right now. Another problem is I'm looking at my team. Side tangent. I don't like to go on tangents a lot, and I really try to keep my tangents out of the way. I went on a defensive tangent. Now I'm going on a different one. But you just got to lock in for me, people, okay? The Colts defense. A defense that, depending on your settings that you have in your league, is either playing really good or really bad. And this is interesting. They go against the Jaguars, then the Titans, then the Dolphins, then the Houston Texans their next 4 weeks. Their next 4 weeks are rough. If you have a chance to pick up the Colts right now, I would, because they have nice matchups coming up. The only thing is, it's whether or not your league has scored them well. Okay, in one of my leagues, they scored 7 points. Not very good, right? Not very good at all. Now I'm gonna go to defenses. Whoa, wait, that's crazy. And this league is a keeper or is a dynasty league. The benches are so deep. There's only 4 available defenses on the field. or in the league. That's nuts. I didn't even know that was a thing. Anyway, the Colts in this league scored 15. I don't really know how that works. I'm not going to put in the time because I got to go to this dinner, so I'm not going to really put in the time to figure out how the point system works. But I want you to look at how your defenses have been scoring. I'm just going to do the defenses now. This is not a tangent. This is just a jump. I'm just jumping things. This is not a tangent, people. I want you to look and see how they're scoring. And if the Broncos and Colts have been doing well the last couple of weeks due to scoring, because they should have been. The Broncos are one of the best defenses in the league. If they were, go ahead and slide over there and pick one of those guys up. If they weren't, then maybe you should don't listen to me. But if they were, because they have been playing good and they have good schedules coming up, I would highly suggest picking up one of those two defenses. Now let's get back. We were in running backs. We talked about how Breece Hall kind of failed. I wasn't very high. Breece Hall's been having a fine year. I was just kind of like scared of his average draft position, his ADP a little bit. It's been working out okay. Let's go to receivers. The receivers are just exciting. I mean, this list is just exciting. It's a combination of like stars and rookies, and the receivers are just so awesome right now. Nico Collins, number 1. Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks, both Packers, 2 and 3. Then you have CD, Mike Evans, 4 and 5, so some consistency. And then I'll talk about 6 real quick. Malik Neighbors, who unfortunately got an injury. I've said, like, try to trade for Malik Neighbors. Try to trade. It's not going to happen by now. He's too good. He's too consistent. Hopefully you got him when I told you to. I tried, and I couldn't even do it. So if you couldn't, I get it. But Nico Collins is just a star, and it's awesome to watch a guy really come into his own on a team that's that hard. There's so many receivers on that team. But he's really shown that he's a beast. And then the Packers receivers, crazy. Now, what did I say? Did I say that Jaden Reed would be the number 1 Packer receiver? I did. He's the overall receiver, number 7 right now. So I called that a little bit. But Dontavian Wicks, that's crazy. Like, I'm pretty sure this dude's like the number 4. He scored 2 touchdowns. He's kind of like the number 4 receiver on their team, and he's only a year 2. The Packers, their receiver core is nice. Now, I don't love talking about the Packers because I have some Packer friends with some pretty big egos, so I don't really love to talk about good on the Packers. But their receiving core is something to look at for the very far future, and it really helps Jordan Love's case on like building his ability. If I was a Packer fan, I'd be excited about my receivers. The last guy I want to talk about in this little list is a guy who's a little lower, but a really big dude I think you should pick up this week. It's Deontay Johnson on the Panthers. He's had 2 big weeks in a row, so it's going to be a little hard to trade for him. But I have a trade request for him in one of my leagues. Been talking to my league mate about him. It has just popped off as soon as the entire Panthers offense has. I don't know why. You talk to Panther fans, they go, "Oh, Bryce Young doesn't fit in the system." You know who you are, bro. That's literally what you said. I'm quoting somebody exactly. I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if it's true if he doesn't fit in the system. I don't know if he's. I don't think he's bad. I think he's a good quarterback, so it might be the system. But tell me why Andy Dalton is so dang good in the system. It doesn't really make sense to me. I'm not going to argue, though, and I'm sure the Panther fans, like my bro over there, is not going to argue. The Panthers are finally good, and Deontay Johnson is taking advantage of this. All the receivers are. Xavier Legette just had his best game of his career so far. Only game he scored over 10, he got 19. Like, his first touchdown pass was this week. Xavier Legette is just a cool-looking dude, too. I'm looking at his picture on the thing, and he just, like, looks cool. Like, yeah. Not every person looks like they got some like juice, some drip, but he just does. Deontay Johnson does not really. I'm not gonna lie. Deontay Johnson looks like Kevin Hart in the movie with The Rock, where he's like they're like undercover. It was when he was the Jet. I hope that at least one person gets my reference. Deontay Johnson looks like Kevin Hart, like midlife when he works in an office and still relives his glory days of his high school. That's funny. Wow. Anyway, Deontay Johnson's a dude I think you should look at, and that's very exciting to me. Let's go to tight ends. Let's go to kickers. There's a couple of guys that I've talked about. I'll go to kickers real quick, finish off with tight ends, and then I'll be out because I got to go to dinner. Kickers, I only got one kicker I want to talk about. Nick Folk. Well, never mind, I got 2. Nick Folk scored 5 field goals. Like, what? That's nuts. He scored 17 points. That's crazy. That's just cool, honestly. As a kicker, that's just dope. Greg Joseph, too, on the Giants. I didn't talk about this yet. Well, I did talk about him. He literally scored every point. They lost to the Dallas Cowboys 15-20, and he scored 15 points. Kickers just be nice like that, you know? I mean, I don't want to toot the kicker's horn right now, but I'm tooting it because we nice. The dude I do want to is Young-Hoo Koo. What a freaking animal. A game winner. God, he's just a dog. And it's cool his stance, too. Like, I know people don't really pay attention to kickers, like, their stances and, like, before they kick the ball, you know? But he just has got something going. He doesn't line up. So it became it used to be a thing where you would line up to straight behind the ball, you know, when you kick it in the NFL. And you just run straight at the ball and toe poke it, you know, and it wasn't very accurate. It didn't really work. Now, if you've ever played soccer or really watched soccer, usually when you kick a ball, you come in from the side. If you're a right-footed kicker, you're coming from the left at kind of like a 45-degree angle, and it just helps you with your swing, your follow-through, everything. So that became the thing that NFL kickers in the 60s, 70s, or whatever. I remember reading a book about this, and I thought it was so cool. They adopted it, right? Except for Young-Hoo Koo. If you watch him when he kicks, he does this weird little hip thing where he takes his steps left and like looks semi-normal, but then swings his leg back to where his hips and his body are facing, you know, basically straight at the goalpost. And he is only maybe one step to the left of the ball, and then he goes. It's just I don't really know even how he turns his hips so that he can kick the ball through the uprights like that. But it's very interesting, and apparently it works because he's an animal. Maybe he just learned to kick like that. I don't really know. I know he's not from. I don't think he's from America. I don't know where he's from, but I know that he's not. He was not born in America. So I wonder if he learned how to kick, or if there are people who kicked like that where he's from. I just think it's cool. I just think it's cool that he can do that and be that good when he is literally the only one in the NFL that does something like that. You know, it's like if a quarterback like threw every ball underhand, you know, but just had an insane strength and ability to do it and was as good as anyone throwing it overhand. I think it's cool. Let's go to tight ends real quick. If you're still with me 20 minutes into the episode, you know, you deserve to get praised, and you also should expect that I'm going to go on a little rant about a kicker and drink some water real quick, because it's a long episode, you know. I got to do what I got to do. Tight ends finally. Tucker Kraft, number one, that came out of nowhere. Another Packer receiver. The Packers just went nuts. They almost had a comeback, but got stifled a little bit. Pat Freiermuth, maybe the most unexciting player in the NFL. Like, when I watch him, I'm just so, like, not excited. And then Travis Kelce finally doing something good. He had 15 points. There's a lot of tight ends the tight ends are just rough this year, dude. Isaiah Likely, like, what happened, bro? He had one of the greatest tight end games I've seen in a minute, week 1. Almost caught the game. I feel like as soon as he didn't catch that game-winning touchdown against the Chiefs, his season has just fallen into the pits. He's scored 4 points, 1 point, and 3 points. Yeah, and everyone talks about how they wasted their FAAB money, which I don't really know what it stands for, but it's basically your waiver wire money. They wasted it picking him up after that week 1. I put in a request. I didn't want to spend that much money on him, but I didn't get it. But it's just crazy that that's even a reality. You know, that's it. Honestly, I don't really got much left to talk about. It's been a busy week. Busy with everything. Busy with like college stuff and birthday and friends, family, football. You know, grandparents are in town. That's basically it. I don't think I got anything more to talk about. I'm kind of just chilling, you know. I kind of want to take a nap, but I know I got to go to dinner. I think I'm camping tonight. That's really it. I love you guys for sticking with me, right? For showing out to the tribe. I hope the Broncos win this week. I hope you guys win your leagues, and I'll see you next week, Finn. Peace.
Fall is all about cozy comforts, but when you're prioritizing your health, it's easy to feel like you're missing out. With Hero Bread, you can enjoy all your fall favorites because they're made with Hero Bread sliced bread loaves, tortillas, bagels, dinner rolls, and more. Try their all-new Hero Noodles with 12 grams of protein and just 80 calories. So skip replacing every carb with cauliflower and indulge in your breakfast, lunch, and dinner time favorites while still hitting your goals. From breakfast bagels and meal prepped enchiladas to mouth-watering burgers and cheesy noodles. You won't believe Hero Bread's options have 0 to 5 grams net carbs and are high fiber from the taste and texture. They've even got small batch drops of indulgent favorites like the popular Hero Croissant. And right now, Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use code FALL25 at checkout. That's fall25 at hero.co. All figures are per serving of Hero Bread. Contains 2 to 18 grams of fat per serving. See the product nutrition panels on hero.co for more information.
Are you a diehard Packers fan? Then you need the Packernet podcast in your life. Tune in daily for the latest Packers news, analysis, and insights from every angle. We've got multiple shows covering everything from game breakdowns to roster updates. Don't forget our fan favorite call-in show, Packernet After Dark. That's right, you call in and talk about whatever you want, because here, it's all about you and your passion for the Packers. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the Packernet podcast today and never miss a beat.